We're back here on Sports Time, and joining us now is our Sports Time insider, Corey Doviak of NorthJerseySports.com. Corey, last week you co-hosted the show with me. This week you get your own segment.
Hey, Jack, and next week you're going to have to book all appearances through my agent. My career is just zooming right now, pal.
And speaking of zooming, one team that has been on fire, Corey, is the Cliffside Park boys soccer team. They've won their first 2 games in pretty impressive fashion, but a tough test in Game 3 of the season against Englewood. So let's check out the highlights. And there is Sebastian Zapata. He would have a huge game for the Red Raiders. First half, no score on a corner kick. Zapata with the header, and it's 1-0 CP.
With all the things that Cliffside can do within the flow of play in a game, you can't give them set pieces because they will make you pay for it.
Later in the first, still 1-0. Zapata with another scoring chance, but Englewood's Jordan Kralik makes a diving stop, still 1-0.
Always a busy night for the opposing goalkeeper against Cliffside Park, for sure.
We're still in the first half, about 10 minutes to go, and watch Kazim Uyaraglu with the score right there on the corner kick. It's 2-0 Cliffside Park. Jim Fusey pumps his boys up at the half.
15 minutes is very important for us in this half. Very important. We need to come out strong this half, and we need to be banging the ball around. And we need to let their stamina decrease the first 15 minutes of the half. And if we can sneak one by, fellas, they're not going to come back. It's typical English.
So it's Fusey with the usual fiery halftime speech, and in the second half, Englewood is the team that comes out firing, Corey.
Yeah, you know, they were able to get some pressure on the Cliffside Park goal. Englewood's a solid side. It's not like they're a pushover competition. It's just that Cliffside is playing on a different level this year. I think it speaks more to how well Cliffside is playing rather than how poorly Englewood's doing.
A tough night for Cliffside Park's leading scorer, Exal Paz. Here he is running down the sideline. He's tripped up. It goes down hard, Corey.
Well, Cliffside Park is the marked team, and if that's the case, then Exal Paz is the marked man, and he's going to have to get used to some physical play, which he is since he's been playing on the varsity level for the last 3 years. He's been taking a lot of lumps.
He's on the receiving end of that lump right there, a lump to the head. He gets the headbutt. Watch it again as he gets clipped. He would go down hard and leave the game with an ice pack, but it doesn't matter because Cliffside Park leaves the game with a win as they beat Englewood 2-0 to improve to 3-0 on the season. And the Red Raiders had this to say about their good start.
Everyone's expecting a lot from us this year, especially after last year. And it's good to start off like this. Englewood, tough team. We had Riverdale on Monday. Everyone's dedicated here. And I think that's why we're so successful. And we're off to a good start, I think.
Like the situation we're in. Opened up against a good Dumont team. We're 3-0, but we didn't play any cream puffs. We played some quality sides. So coming into the season, we knew defensively we had to get stronger. And I think we've really stressed and worked hard on it in the offseason.
So Coach Fusey talks about Cliffside Park's defense stepping up. And Corey, how about this for some defense? In their first 3 games of the season, these are the amount of shots that they let out on goal each game. At Dumont on the season opener, they allowed no shots on goal. Against Riverdale, they allowed just 1 shot. And against Englewood in the game that we just saw, they allowed just 2 shots on goal. So a combined 3 shots on goal allowed by Cliffside Park so far this season. We talk about them being a scoring machine, but they've got a pretty good defense.
They're a well-rounded team, front, back, in the net, and they can beat you anyway. And a great thing about them is that they possess the ball so well. If you look at the final stats and you do it, you break it down, it's probably 75-25 in possession, 80-20 in those first 3 games of the season. They really take a lot of pressure off their defense by controlling the ball so well offensively. So really, soccer is a team game. It's a fluid game, and everything flows through every player on Cliffside Park, and that's why they've been so dominant, not just any one aspect, offense, defense, or, goalkeeping.
Let's take a look at Cliffside Park's upcoming schedule here in 2009. On the 25th of September, they take on Tenafly, a rematch against a very good team from last season. On the 9th, they travel to Riverdale, where they lost to the Golden Hawks last season. On the 14th, it's a rematch against Englewood, which is always a trap game for the Red Raiders. And then on the 23rd, they close out the season at Tenafly, and that game could have some BCSL American title implications. Corey, can anybody in the American take out Cliffside Park?
This is the first time in a long time that there's been one team. This season it's Cliffside Park, but there's been one obvious dominant team in the BCSL American Division. You throw in Fort Lee into that mix, and those teams, Riverdale, Tenafly, Englewood, Fort Lee, Cliffside, they always bang heads, and usually, you beat them the first time around, second time around through the schedule, they return the favor on home fields and things like that. This year, Cliffside Park is really, let's say heels, because we're talking soccer. They're heels above everybody else. And any game they lose, if they do, will be an upset. And that's a little bit different than it's been in other years, in most years in the BCSL American Division, which has sent teams like Englewood, like Riverdale, like Tenafly deep into the Bergen County tournaments year after year.
Well, speaking of Englewood, Corey, their football team has been off to a slow start so far. A lot of turnover this season. They were in action against Dumont, looking for their first win of the season. So let's check out the highlights. And there are the Marroon Raiders, Corey, still looking for that elusive first win.
My man, Bo Jadrasic, the old Tapan offensive lineman there on the assistant coaching staff at Englewood.
Early in the first quarter, Englewood would get into some trouble. Kyle Cullen to Dan Bird, 12 yards for the score. It's 6-0 Huskies after 1 quarter of play.
For as much as Englewood needed this game, you could say the same thing about Dumont. They came in 0-1.
Second quarter, Huskies driving again. The interception by Anthony Montefar, so the Maroon Raiders with some life. But on the very next play, Corey, that's John Wright. The ball is tipped, and it's going to be picked by Will Fleischhauer, and he's going to go 73 yards to the house.
Yeah, but not before a little pain sets in, Jack. He's got to see if he's got enough to get in. He made it.
Just enough, he would leave the game with a pulled hamstring, but it's 12-0 Huskies at recess. We move to the fourth quarter. Same score, Maroon Raiders driving. That's Reggie Sullivan now into the game at quarterback, the senior. He takes it to the hole, 26 yards for the score. And Dwight Morrow right back in it, Corey. It's now a 12-7 game with less than 5 minutes to play.
Well, it's going to come down to making key plays, smart plays down the stretch, and it didn't happen for Englewood either.
Yeah, this wasn't one of them. On a punt return, the Maroon Raiders' Marquise Horn is going to fumble the punt right there, and it's going to be recovered by the Huskies. Let's take another look at this, Corey. Explain to us what in the world just happened.
Well, you have two options as a kick returner in any level, high school, pro, whatever it is. It's either catch the ball or get out of the way. He got caught in the middle.
Right there, you see his left knee seems to touch the football. That causes the fumble. Dumont would recover, and they go on to win their first game of the season by a final score of 12-7. So Dumont now 1-1 on the season. Englewood still winless at 0-2 and at the basement of the BCSL American. Tough loss for Englewood. And Corey, one of the reasons why it was such a tough loss, their running back Marquise Horn, who rushed for nearly 1,000 yards last season, couldn't get the job done.
Well, you're going to have to be more consistent in the passing game to open up things for the running game for Englewood. If you become one-dimensional, it's going to be hard for any player. Earl Campbell, Tony Dorsett, pick your guy. If there's no holes to run through and you got to create them every time, it's just not going to be a consistent offensive rushing attack. And, as we can see, Horn's having some trouble finding some places to run. Not that he, nothing against his talent. It's just, that's just the way it is.
Let's talk about that punt return one more time. As a punt returner, wouldn't you want to get away from the ball bounces in front of you? Wouldn't you want to get away from that ball as much as you could instead of go near it?
The short answer to that, Jack, is absolutely. Punt returners are taught either, they call fire, they call poison, and they pull the whole team away from the bouncing ball this way to avoid a situation just like that where it could take a bad bounce and hit off somebody's leg and give possession to the, the kicking team. Obviously, that's what you call a mental mistake.
Well, let's take a look at the BCSL American football standings. And at the top, it's no surprise. It's basically the same way it was last year. Riverdale, Westwood, and Tenafly all with a 2-0 start to 2009. And then you have 4 teams tied for second place: Ridgefield Park, Rutherford, Dumont, and a very surprising Cliffside Park team who had a tough time against Riverdale as they make up the middle pack of the American. And then Fort Lee, Queen of Peace, and Englewood. Corey, we talked about this last week. Riverdale obviously being the team to beat, but any surprises there?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is if you're Rutherford and you wake up and see the standings, you're up 21-0 at halftime. You're looking at 2-0. You're staring at a great road ahead, and next thing you know, you give up 24 points in the second half or whatever it was from those great highlights we showed earlier, and you're 1-1 tied with Ridgefield Park when you could have been in the top pack. Now you're in the middle, and you got to make up that game somewhere along the way.
He's Corey Doviak. He's with NorthJerseySports.com. Be sure to check him out. You can also watch the entire SportsTime episode and past episodes of SportsTime on the media player on the website to the right. Corey, as always, a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
No problem. And right now we're going to check out some scores from around the area. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on SportsTime.